At America's SBDC Network, our mission is simple: to help businesses grow and succeed. Our consulting, training, and information services make it easier for businesses to reach their potential. Whether you're currently in operation or just starting out, America's SBDC Network has the right tools, resources, and expertise to help you succeed. Visit us online or contact your local office to get started on your path to success today.
Very good. Thank you, everybody, today for attending this short but hopefully informative webinar. We are going to be spending our time today talking primarily about the sales tech stack, and not only about the sales tech stack, but how AI is playing a greater role in that tech stack and what possibly we need to know as sales leaders and maybe even as salespeople to effectively implement AI in our daily workflows to take advantage of some of the promises that this technology will be bringing to the table for us in the selling industry. And so before we get started, I just want to do a shameless plug here for the SBDC. I've had the pleasure of interacting and working with them over the course of many years. I have plenty of both personal contacts who have experienced great results in working with the organization and spending time with the mentors there. So if you are in a stage of your business where you feel like you could use some additional support and mentorship, they've got some of the best in the city, and I would recommend them wholeheartedly in that coaching service that they do provide to small businesses. So again, my plug for SBDC. So today we're going to talk a little bit about, like I said before, the concept of the tech stack in sales. But in order to do that, my goal for you today really is to just give you a broad overview of what a tech stack is in sales, how AI is actually impacting that tech stack that now is permeating through our world in not only business perspectives, but also through our personal lives. So I'm going to do that and hopefully share with you a little bit more details also of the investment, what that may look like when you're talking about implementing a tech stack that includes AI, and ultimately how that's going to impact us as sales leadership, as salespeople into the future, and what we may expect from the continuous growth in AI across our organizations. The process really today is just this webinar is going to be exclusively lecture process, and hopefully we'll go through the concepts in a relatively specific way, in a way that helps you understand them in a little bit more detail. And of course, we can always do a follow-up session if that's requested. And then the takeaway really for today should be you to understand how to get started with a tech stack and eventually be able to include AI in that tech stack moving forward if you're in a position where, again, you're either building out a tech stack for the first time, or if you've had one for a while and you are trying to decide which pieces of that you want to expand on and add AI to. So our takeaway today really will be to share that level of information and make sure that we do have your understanding of the tech stack really covered well. So let's get into the agenda specifically, and we want to talk primarily first and foremost about what is a tech stack. We don't want to assume that all of us are on the same page of understanding of what that tech stack actually is. And tech stacks ultimately aren't new. The early part of software that has been in the sales organization has really been around since the late 1970s, early 1980s, with the advent of certain tools that begin to track customer activity. CRMs came along shortly after that, and then we've been adding new digital technologies to the tech stack ever since. So again, tech stacks aren't new from a standpoint of what's available to you as a company and as a salesperson. However, there's a lot of misunderstanding of what types of tools you need in your tech stack, and there may be even a little bit of a gap in knowledge that prevents you from knowing what level of tech stack you really need based on the size organization you're in. So let's define it first and foremost. The sales tech stack is really a set of software tools and technologies that are designed to enable and enhance performance of not only your individual salesperson, but your methodologies and your sales process as a whole. So that software that is available to you today is really built for the purpose and the understanding of moving opportunities through your funnel faster, targeting customers more completely, and helping you to provide a better overall customer experience when you're in the selling process with your clients. A well-designed tech stack is really going to help you keep track of key issues. It'll do things like automating your outreach. It'll take what salespeople are doing on a daily basis and ramp that up so that they maximize productivity. It will help you both set your goals and hit those goals more consistently. And there are a number of other things that you'll learn during the presentation that the tech stack really will help you do as a sales organization, and potentially even help you save time and as you implement more of this technology. The caveat we're adding to this today is really that impact that AI is going to be having on the sales stack as we move forward. How artificial intelligence is not only taking the tech stack and enhancing it, but in some cases even turning it on its head and utilizing some of that tech stack in ways that have never been utilized before from a sales standpoint by adding the AI to it. And so the tech stack really is your set of tools, software, and technologies that are going to enhance your ability to interact and provide that customer experience that differentiates you and your company from your competitors. A basic tech stack is something that we want to understand. What are the key components to a basic tech stack, so that when you leave the presentation today, at least you can take a step forward and say, do I have these components currently in my organization? If I don't, what are the things that I'm potentially missing to fill out that entire tech stack that we have available to us? So a basic stack really includes these primary components, and you don't necessarily need all of them. You don't necessarily need to implement one before another. So they're not necessarily sequential in their outline, but they certainly do have the earmarks of a complete tech stack when you're thinking through all the different aspects of what you want to pull together to what we did for how we talked about earlier of enhancing that customer experience. So clearly you want to start with your customer relationship management tool, your CRM. That is going to be your primary tool to be able to manage not only your client contact data, but it's Salesforce automation. How do we automate a lot of the tools and processes that we want our sales team to be implementing? The integration with marketing comes into play with your customer relationship management software, and our ability to create plays and consistency in how our sales team engages with our client base by building a sales process in our CRM with really well-defined exit criteria that allows us to step each of our customers through a consistent sales process when they work with us. And we understand it as a sales organization that it enables us to move with more speed and more accuracy as we bring our teams through and bring our clients through our sales process. A second set of tools would really be account planning. So once you have customers in your organization, they've raised their hand, they start engaging with you, they've even bought product from you potentially, you want to put them into an account planning tool that now enables you to keep track of those individuals, that allows you to understand what they may be buying in the future, even potentially giving you some intelligence about when that customer is ready to buy again. So your account planning really is that tool that helps you bring customers into the organization more effectively and allows you to communicate with them in a way that's designed to reach a level of service with them that before they even know they need the next product that you have to sell. So account planning is another tool that we should be looking at. Sales enablement. Sales enablement is the set of tools that are really going to help your sales team become more efficient and more effective. And those can be everything, like I mentioned before, sales plays. It could include things like your ideal customer profile, so that when customers come into your overall world, that they're evaluated against an ideal customer profile, and that the sales team is much further along in regards to understanding who they have in front of them versus not having this information. So sales enablement is really designed to take the skills and the capabilities that the sales team already has and enhance those in great detail. Lead generation tools, those are really important as well, because we want to keep feeding our funnels with qualified potential customers. And so those lead gen tools are going to be email packages. They're going to be helping you create content for social media. They're going to be doing social listening for you, so that when there are conversations or topics that people are discussing that you could be involved with, that it generates that that connection between you and the client. Communication tools is where you're going to expand your level of communication with that customer. Things like advanced chat bots at this stage will allow you to communicate with customers much more quickly than you would historically. You don't have to be sitting in front of your computer. You don't have to have your salesperson there just writing content consistently. Your communication tools will not only create content for you, but they'll ship that content out to you, to your customer base, based on the inputs that your customer is providing you. So there is a full set of tools there to be able to do that as well. Your learning management system is your tool internally that's going to help you know that you're delivering the right type of information to the customer, and that information that you are delivering to the customer is going to be fresh, consistent, and relevant to them on a regular basis. It also helps you communicate with your teams internally. So when you do have a new process and a new approach to engaging your customers, that is immediately updated in your LMS and communicated out to the rest of the team. You can even use natural language processing to record phone calls, for an example, and have those calls converted into tools to help train other salespeople, for an example. So LMS is important there. Your sales reporting tools. Your sales reporting tools are the tools that are going to help your management and you to ultimately, as a sales individual, understand what progress you're making against your goals. It's even going to give you suggestions about which customers to focus on and which ones that you should de-emphasize maybe for the upcoming quarter, based on buying patterns and interest levels from your customer base. And then, of course, your project management tools. If you're in an organization or a business that requires a multi-step sales process, that requires multiple inputs and outputs from your technical sales team. If you're building something in your life, for an example, developing specs, or you're doing design for a customer, you need a project management tool that fits into the sales process effectively and makes sure that it keeps you aware of the steps in that project that need to be completed in order for you to move to the next step. So project management tools round out your overall stack, particularly if you were in a business that requires a significant number of those project management tools to be effective. So those are the components to a basic tech stack. Now, there are other components that you can throw in here. There are other subcomponents that fit under each of these categories. And so we won't go into a lot of those in great detail, but if you do a simple outline of this particular tech stack and you look to establish deeper tools inside of that, you'll see that each of these categories, again, come with their own subset of tools that will be able to help you understand which one is a better fit for your organization. So let's talk a little bit. That's a basic tech stack, right? And tech stacks have been working to the benefit of sales teams and sales leadership, as well as salespeople, for a while now. But AI is still relatively virgin in the sense of how many people have implemented it in their organizations and how much salespeople are relying on their tech stack integrated with AI. So what we want to talk about a little bit now is, what is the role of AI in the tech stack, right? And how do we look at that? So the tech stack really is designed, you saw the previous version of it, but the role of AI is going to change that a little bit, where we used to automate things like email, for an example. We would set up campaigns and we could automate those to go out on a regular schedule. Now, automation means a lot more than that. Automation really is this concept of being able to, automate your daily activities in a way that we weren't ever able to before. So if there are, let's just say we're doing out calls, we're doing emails, we're doing texts, we're doing mail, we want to be able to look at omni-channel prospecting and automate each piece of that in a way that reflects the feedback we're getting from our customers. So the automation doesn't only look like us setting up cadences to respond to clients, but it's real-time automation. A customer sending us a request in a certain area, and then we're automating the outreach to that particular customer across different mediums so that that automation engages that customer where that customer is, their preferred communication style, and some of the ways that they communicate with us is way we'll automate communication back with them, for an example. Predictive engagement. Predictive engagement is much like it sounds. We're trying to predict the various types of things that customers want us to do for them and with them. So predictive engagement is in AI terms is going to be reaching out and saying, hey, you've gotten engagement for this type of customer over the past 30 days. Over the next 30 days, you're likely to get this same level of engagement from these similar style customers over that next period of time. So instead of them necessarily waiting, let's automate some of the outbound communication to them and be able to hit them where they are even before they start reaching out to us. Predictive prospecting is going to be very similar in the sense that we know who our ideal customer profile is. AI helps us to refine that a bit more. And then the predictive prospecting really is going to give us a window and an insight to say, these are the customers that are showing that they're interested in a contact or likely to be interested in a contact. So intent data. These are the contacts that are probably not interested in a contact at this point. And if over the next 30 days, if you're doing a whole lot of prospecting, you want to be focused on the first list versus the second list, because more people are going to pick up the phone, more people are going to respond to your outreach, more people are going to be interested in what you're sharing with them, and more people are going to engage in an opportunity process with you if you have a predictive prospecting approach that AI is helping you to organize using tools in your tech stack. Sales process analytics, again, sales process typically had been linear, and still tends to be a bit linear in its outlook. Step A leads to step B leads to step C. Now, sales process analytics is going to help sales teams and is helping sales teams when a customer comes into the sales process slightly later, right? For an example, if they come in and they skip a couple phases in the process, or maybe they come in and they seem like they're later in a process, but they're really not based on the way that your analytics is producing it. It will give you suggestions about where that process needs to begin, what types of things the customer needs to see in order to move forward in that process, and the likelihood that that process where they pick up are going to lead to a next step. So sales process analytics is a really interesting set of tools that are now starting to come online and are starting to get more pervasive in organizations. Voice text analytics. This is where, again, voice and text are starting to analyze intent data. So historically, I've had to use my own brain to be able to listen to the client and, of course, determine whether or not, based on their tonality, based on their cadence and their pitch, based on the words that they're actually using, whether or not there's a real intent for them to do something specific with me. Voice text analytics is really turning that game on its head a little bit in the sense that it's actually listening to the tonality for you. It's processing that tonality in real time. It's giving you feedback in real time, whether that customer is on a high level of communication or on a low level communication. And it's giving you real-time suggestions on types of things that you need to say differently to the client based on the feedback that the system is giving you and measuring the client's engagement level. And so voice text analytics, again, is something that's still relatively new in the tech stack and that salespeople are still engaging with, but it's really a game changer by having a real-time active coach, which is AI technology, telling you how to change your approach, like I said, almost in real time. And then advanced chatbots, for an example. I mean, chatbots have been around for a while. However, they're much more advanced today. Natural language processing allows you to basically respond in real time like it's a real person. And in a lot of cases, the customer doesn't even know they're not talking with a real person because these chatbots have become so advanced. Not only do the chatbots, communicate information, but again, just like our voice text analytics, they can make assessments on how frustrated the customer is. They can make assessments on how fast the customer is moving and how quickly they need a resolution. And all these things are, again, happening in real time by the chat bots analyzing the state of the customer at that point. So again, AI is impacting all these things from a sales standpoint, and you'll see more and more of this deployment in various tech stacks when you're stepping away from this presentation and thinking about your own, and maybe doing a bit more research about what components you could utilize to be more efficient in your overall sales approach. So what does the investment look like? These are some general speaking. We just talked about these different aspects of a tech stack, and we just talked a little bit about what that investment might look like. But so assuming you were doing the entire tech stack that we talked about, including customer relationship management all the way down through project management tools. On the conservative side, we're probably talking about a couple $100 a month per user. And that, like I said, that is a conservative estimate, depending on what you implement and depending on what you decide to do. Of course, you don't need to implement all these tools. You certainly don't need to step away from here and implement them all at once. But you're going in, if you're looking at the various tools in each of these categories, you're going to be, again, spending a minimum of $200 per user per month. So if you've got 5 salespeople in your organization, plan on spending at least $1,000 a month on a basic tech stack that will help enable the team to be more efficient. And so hopefully that gives you a little bit of feel for that. I won't go through all the tools in each of the categories, but you can see that there are some not necessarily recommended tools, but some tools that are quite popular in the individual components of the tech stack that we're looking at here. And so hopefully, like I said, screenshot this or ask for a potential copy of the presentation. And hopefully, since it's up as a webinar, you can, like I said, you can look at it again if you need to. But these are just some examples of the tools that are going to be utilized in this space and the cost per month to be able to implement them. So what we want to know really, partly at least, what the impact to our organization would be, particularly for salespeople. Not only what should salespeople be doing, but as a leader in an organization, whether I'm the sales leader or I'm the leader of the organization functioning as the head of sales, I want to understand if I'm going to invest this, $200, $300 a month minimum per person in these sales tools and tech stack. How does that help me, right? What are the types of things I'm going to get for that? And is it going to enable me to do the things I need to do as efficiently and maybe cost effective as I need to, right? So, so generally speaking, only a small number of sales teams are using any AI in their deployments right now. Everybody is thinking about, or most people are thinking about, this idea of AI in an organization. Close to 80% of sales professionals agree that implementing some level of AI in my organization is going to help me be more efficient. But the number of people that are actually taking it and utilizing AI at this point is a relatively small number. That's changing. It's changing in some cases fairly rapidly. And so we expect to see this number growing dramatically in the next 2 to 3 years, where there's a significantly higher implementation level of tools that include AI, and not only tools that include AI, but a real effort put into utilizing the AI in each of these tools. Some of the information we see in talking to customers and the information that is clearly available is that AI saves time. It saves primarily salespeople's time in doing some of the things that historically have been manualized, that have been required in an organization, but don't really lend themselves necessarily to, say, that engagement with the customer. And so AI has been able to do things like manage people's emails more effectively, tools to manage their calendar more effectively and to engage with customers so that the customer doesn't have to go jump through a lot of hoops to get a meeting set up. We've seen it create content much more effectively. Not necessarily always great content, but AI is a really good tool for being able to create emails and to create sequences and give you feedback on how well those sequences are going to be responded to. So instead of doing a lot of A/B testing in your office or in your mind, artificial intelligence will be doing a lot of that A/B testing before they even send a single email out by giving you suggestions about the likelihood of an email being opened or responded to. And so it's definitely saving time. So if you're saving a couple hours a day as a salesperson to be able to focus on the sales related efforts, what that should do, what we should start seeing is a lot more efficiency when it comes to, sales performance versus the hours that are put in. So efficiency is going to go up dramatically. Sales rep, again, are going to be focusing on things like prospecting outreach, research, data, analytics. All those things can be done with AI, probably more efficiently in a lot of cases than we can do them ourselves. And so AI is really coming in and going to play those roles, which is where you're going to get a lot of the cost and the time saving. And then we expect within the next 3 years, AI is going to be able to improve sales efficiency by greater than 50%, which means if it used to take me 8 hours to do what I'm normally doing, it's probably only going to take me 4. So that's going to be introducing the idea of, A, do I need to hire as many salespeople in my sales organization as I used to? That's going to be a question. B, the question is going to be, if I hire additional resources in the organization, I'm going to be able to up level my revenue number. I'm going to be able to increase the overall results that I'm looking for, and I'm going to be able to encourage and monitor my sales teams as they're doing much more engagement with the customer than they've historically done, because a lot of the time that they're spending is again on manual activities that are designed to support that conversation, but isn't the conversation itself. And so the efficiency that we're going to gain in the sales organization really has to be considered when we're, again, filling out that organization with new headcount. Maybe we need better AI tools versus another salesperson coming into the organization, which is what a lot of leaders are going to be engaging and struggling with over the next couple of years to figure out, what is the right size organization I need, particularly if I'm implementing tools like AI to supplement it. So that being said, how do I implement, right? We've got all these issues related to AI, and some of these are going to be hard issues to engage, and others are going to be ones that we just need to take the steps forward to be able to take advantage of it. So what do we need to think about when we're implementing an AI tech stack? So what we want to do is we want to identify the pain points in our overall sales process. First and foremost, we need to understand what isn't working well for us or isn't working as efficiently as it could be, and how do I want AI to help me to achieve that, right? Look at it maybe unconstrained at first, to say, in an unconstrained world, if I could do this, this would help me dramatically, or this would improve the performance of my sales team. And then typically speaking, there'll be an AI tool. If it doesn't exist today, it'll exist shortly. That'll help you with that. So understanding the pain points in your process is key. Then we need to set certain goals for AI adoption that's aligned with our business objectives. If our business objectives are rapid revenue growth, that's one set of tools that we might need. If it's eking out more profitability and maybe being okay with our level of revenue, that's another goal in itself. If it's, again, dominating a particular market and going in and being the primary provider of that service or that product in that market, that could be another set of goals that you want to look at when it comes to AI implementation. So not all goals are the same, and not all AI tools are going to help you maybe get to that point as fast as you want to. So consider those before you get started. You want to assess the existing stack that you have and what infrastructure you currently have. You don't want to throw out things that are working in order to build a new tool that may or may not work as well. So you want to, again, make sure you know what your infrastructure is currently providing to you, and make sure that when you're adding tools to it, it's going to enhance it versus potentially slow it down. You want to calculate the ROI and your budget for AI implementation. So what do I expect to get if I'm going to implement a new AI tool, and that tool is going to cost me $12,000 a year? Then I need to understand how do I get $12,000 worth of profit back into the business to keep that, and what would be an acceptable rate of return on that. We want to research AI solutions that are out there, because more and more are hitting the market every day. Some of them are good, some of them aren't as good. So you want to make sure that you shortlist a set of tools that you've done enough research on to say, hey, I'm going to go and I'm going to do a thorough evaluation of the tools that I've shortlisted. And so we want to make sure that the tools, like I said, are the ones that are going to be a fit for our organization. Then you want to conduct pilots, test those tools out in your organization. That you don't only test whether or not it's working or not, but how does it fit into your current sales team's workflow, and can they adopt it effectively? Some tools are more complicated than others. Other tools have better training. And so no use paying for a tool if adoption isn't gonna get that tool utilized in the organization. Training programs are going to be critical, and change management. You're going to have to manage the change. Change oftentimes, particularly when it comes to technology, is a bit of a burden up front. So how do you help the sales team not lose the momentum around the revenue they're creating and the sales that they're generating? How do you make sure the momentum is maintained while you're engaging with them on switching these tools and doing a training on them to help them be more effective? And so they're going to have concerns about that, and we need to think through how can we help them, like I said, continue to earn the same amount of revenue while we're making these changes. Developing the benchmarks and ongoing KPIs to make sure you're continuing to measure what's happening in your AI tech stack, because again, you don't want to set it and forget it. You want to make sure that you are ultimately utilizing the things that are giving you the indication that these tools are creating value in your organization by listening to your customers, listening to your sales reps, and also measuring the outcomes that you're expecting them to create for you. So that's very important as well. And then we want to continuously evaluate any new innovations in AI and be flexible about adoption. Do we have the ability to adopt them effectively? How ready and willing are we to take a new technology? Again, are we early adopters in the adoption curve? Are we people who like to see that technology being built out for a substantial period of time before we want to consider it? And is our sales team a group of individuals who are, like I said, flexible and ready to take on new technologies when we introduce them? And so you need to consider the types of people you have in the organization and how readily available they'll pick up new tools and use them in their overall workflow. And so that's what the things we want to consider when we're doing implementation of an AI tech stack. Not all that dissimilar to implementing any software technology, but certainly things like ROI, utilization, and the ability for sales teams to see the value in a very short period of time is going to be critical to make sure that, again, these tools are being implemented in a way that brings value back to your organization. Thanks very much for taking part in this webinar. What I hope you got from this in this short webinar is really a good understanding of a sales tech stack, where that technology is heading, the implications of AI in that overall tech stack, maybe the investment level that you would need to make if you're considering building out a new tech stack, and then the process that's engaged or that's required in order to make that tech stack work effectively. So again, thank you for attending the webinar. I look forward to seeing you in another one sometime real soon. Thank you.